In a small dormant cemetery lies the graves of residents of a nearby town. The headstones are cold to the touch and covered in snow. A small white, slightly smoldered sheet lays atop a small plaque covered in soft white flakes. It lays flat on the thick snow and begins to rise and take the shape of a person wearing a poorly made sheet ghost costume. Two legs slowly push out from under the sheet and land on the snow-covered ground. It wears small brown cargo shorts, red high-top sneakers, and a long white sheet, which is covered in soot and has a large black patch at the bottom. It has two large black circles where the eyes should be. He wiped the snow and ice off of the small plaque atop the grave he arose from. Almost all of the words are weathered away, except for Sam. A small town glows nearby, like a cozy, warm fireplace. Sam begins making his way toward the town. The only thing left in his mind is a street name, Lincoln Drive. As it approaches the town, it hears the sound of people excitingly chatting about winter activities and plans. He continues to walk towards the city. The large, comforting glow from far away morphed into busy, rushed streetlights. What looks like hundreds, if not thousands of people walk the busy streets, carrying purses, gift bags, lights, and other festive items. Signs and advertisements hang from chains and are attached to walls by pipes, all glowing, all flashing, begging for attention. Sam walks into a nearby store, merely wanting to escape the busy, crowded streets. He looks around, passing by people as he strolls, almost as if passing through them. Sam finds himself in front of a small shelf covered in white sweaters. He grabs one excitedly and begins attempting to put it on. The small head of the sheet pops out of the tight neck hole of the sweater. A nearby child begins to walk towards Sam curiously. The child pokes him, and he turns around and looks at the child, and begins to realize just what he had done. A tall woman walks toward the child sternly. "I told you not to wander off." The woman stops dead in her tracks and begins to stare at Sam. "How can that be possible?" a different woman asks. "It's just flying there," says a small boy as he begins to point at Sam. A small crowd begins to form both inside the store and out. Hushed murmurs begin to roam against the crowd, along with shocked gasps and curious stares. Sam freezes and begins to throw the sweater off. It flies off his body, smacks against a wall, and falls to the floor with a quiet thud. The crowd runs to the sweater and begins to investigate it. Sam flees from the store and continues his journey. He spots a hill with a small black structure laying atop it peacefully. Sam arrives in front of the structure. It's the burned remains of a house. A small, slightly warped road sign hangs in front of the house with a broken chain. 2040 Lincoln Drive. A small vase filled with wilted, snow-covered flowers rests in front of the caved-in house. Only the scorched ground floor remains. Small burned wood pillars line the fallen half-walls, and a single, charred, black staircase stands next to the wall with a small compartment underneath. A small black shadow scurries past Sam and scampers into a blanket-covered box underneath the stairs. Sam curiously, yet cautiously, walks toward the box. He then lifts the blanket covering the top. A small black kitten rubs against the walls of the box away from Sam. The cat wears a small, tattered brown collar with a single tiny tag dangling from it. Sam reaches a hand toward the cat. It hisses at him, and Sam recoils. He reaches for the cat again and picks it up. "Pico," reads the small tag dangling from the cat's collar. Pico licks Sam's hand and purrs lovingly. Sam pets the cat, sets it on the ground, and then begins to turn to leave. As Sam steps out of the door, Pico tries to follow and lands in the snow. He then meows at Sam and is lifted into his arms. Sam and Pico return to the busy streets, exploring shops and alleyways. While walking through the crowded streets, Sam bumps into a passerby and drops Pico. He scurries into a nearby alleyway. Pico comes face to face with a large gray alley cat. The cat hisses and begins to chase Pico as he scurries deeper into the alleyway. Sam stumbles around in the crowd more and gets caught on a grocery bag as it rips. The groceries fall out onto the cobblestone street. Sam begins to pick up the groceries for the woman before realizing what would happen. He begins to run away with a small fish still in his hand. Sam finally stumbles into the alleyway and sees Pico sprint around a corner farther back, being chased by the gray cat. Sam grabs a trash can lid and chases after them. Pico continues to sprint down the alleyway, jumping off of boxes and trash, with the gray cat still chasing him, until he eventually gets backed up behind a fence. The gray cat walks towards him as a terrified Pico scoots farther and farther back against the fence. The gray cat hisses and attempts to scratch Pico, but a large metal trash can lid slams on top of the gray cat. It scratches the lid and growls. Sam was holding the handle of the lid. He grabs the small fish he accidentally took on the street and slips it underneath the lid. The growling and scratching stop, and Sam lifts the lid to reveal the gray cat sitting peacefully and taking small bites out of the fish. The gray cat notices Sam and Pico staring at him. He grabs the fish in his mouth, jumps onto some trash, and hops over the fence Pico was backed up against. Pico begins purring and jumps into Sam's arms. Sam and Pico leave the town and head back up the road toward the old cemetery. Sam and Pico walk into the cemetery and come across Sam's grave. They look at the grave, and Pico jumps out of Sam's arms and sits on it. He sits down next to him as they stare out at the town, as Pico crawls into and lays in Sam's lap. The end. Happy holidays.